He's a strong kid. He's tough. Very resilient. Why are you crying? He's gonna be fine.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. These are the kind of days that you hate to be right, but we have been professionally right about Joe Biden for effectively the entire extent of the man's residency inside of the White House. We've told you that he's deeply unwell, and we have footage, video evidence, and a lot of experts to prove that. We've done everything we can to try and inform people about Joe Biden's health, and now, well, it's no laughing matter. Now Joe Biden has suffered a horrible medical event and medical emergency, and we now have proof that Joe Biden didn't have COVID and probably most likely had a stroke on behalf of having Parkinson's. How long have they been hiding Joe Biden's actual state and deterioration from us? Is this what's actually happening? And does Joe Biden even know that he dropped out of the presidential race? Did Joe Biden even sign that document? These are important questions. And, well, we've been right, and the Babylon Bee's been right. Babylon Bee. America just kind of curious if the president is alive. Ha, ha, ha. Really funny, Babylon Bee. Oh, wait a second. Here's Lauren Boebert, one of the more famous members of Congress, saying, I demand proof of life from Joe Biden today at 5 p.m. This isn't a Tom Clancy novel. This is really happening. These are members of Congress, high-ranking, that are asking for proof of life of the president. He needs to get in front of a camera and discuss if he's aware that he dropped out. Hiding is completely unacceptable. Somebody post a photo of Joe Biden with a newspaper, like today's newspaper, please. The front page of the New York Times is what I want. Matt Walsh also stating, this is the last time Joe Biden was seen. It was 5 days ago. Nobody knows where he is or what he's doing or if he's okay or who's running the country, particularly at the moment. Matt Walsh fails to mention that Joe Biden here looks as though his limbs aren't working and he can barely take the stairs. Is this the last time we'll ever see Joe Biden alive? Asks Matt Walsh. This was the last time that we saw Joe Biden. He was heading to Vegas. He was going to give a speech. In fact, this was such a real event that Joe Biden, had people asses in seats, right? People were sitting there waiting for Joe Biden to give a speech. Here's Joe Biden incapable of lifting his leg. Doesn't have the strength to lift his legs up to take the stairs. This was the last daylight hours we saw. And then, of course, you remember this clip of a little woman being trotted out to say that Joe Biden has COVID. Joe Biden had COVID, and then according to the Daily Mail pool reporter, this is the reporter that travels with the president like virtually everywhere, right? The pool is a member of the press that travels with the president. Air Force One took off so fast and flew back to the East Coast so quickly that the entire plane shook. Got from the West Coast to the East Coast in 3 hours, a trip that should take 6 hours. I've done this trip many times in a commercial airline. The plane was shaking. Something terrible was happening. And now people are saying something really dark is going on with Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden even alive? Billionaire ex-Democrat donor Bill Ackman shares Biden conspiracy theories, says the Daily Mail here. Nope. It's just, the reality we're living in right now. Nobody's seen Joe Biden. And there were mysterious whispers of some type of horrible, critical medical event, life-threatening, that took place with Joe Biden in Vegas that caused them to shut down all the roads, and they were going to seek medevac Joe Biden to the hospital. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. The official reporting now, the drum has been banged by Charlie Kirk and a number of other independent journalists who have been asking and demanding answers on this. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the dam has broken. Exclusive: President Biden suffered undisclosed medical emergency during his time in Vegas. This is what led to the canceling of what would have been another Joe Biden screaming brain-dead rant. When President Joe Biden and his campaign trip to Vegas last week, things were running smoothly, but the president was in physical and cognitive decline. A day before he abruptly left town, Biden delivered a keynote address in front of the NAACP convention. Man, he looks bad. I mean, he looks terrible here. He looks truly terrible. On Wednesday, Biden was scheduled to deliver a keynote at the some convention at the MGM Grand. Thousands in attendance anticipated his arrival. The venue was located right off the Vegas Strip. The president's security detail and motorcade required massive outside support from the Metropolitan Police Department. President Biden did not appear at the convention, and instead left town, departing Las Vegas on Air Force One for Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, where he remains today. Since the Vegas trip, President Biden announced on social media that he would not seek a second term as president, throwing his support behind Kamala Harris. But nobody's seen him since Wednesday night. Now we're looking at a week. It is now Tuesday. We are now looking at effectively an entire week since anybody has seen Joe Biden. President's communication staff said that he had COVID-19. We were told a very different story verified by several core elements and turning points. Charlie Kirk's viral post on X from law enforcement sources. The dossier, obtained by independent testimony from over half a dozen law enforcement officers who participated in the president's security detail and others, spoke from firsthand knowledge of the incident that unfolded that day. For this story, we worked with Turning Point Action to secure testimony from several sources and vet the legitimacy inside of law enforcement with the Vegas Police Department. Officers working the president's detail described Wednesday a chaotic from the start. President Biden was already way behind schedule before the incident. Several sources said things really were haywire after he had been present at a famed local Mexican restaurant where he was doing the rounds, shaking hands and greeting donors. Then suddenly, when he was supposed to be scheduled to deliver his speech, all hell broke loose. Several law enforcement officers on duty that day were informed over the radio that the president was dealing with an unspecified medical emergency. Far from the case of the sniffles, he was sent out encrypted police airwaves as something akin to a 5-alarm fire. Sources estimate that it was easily hundreds of Vegas Metropolitan Police officers and employees who heard the broadcast live. Curious media shouldn't have a problem reporting any follow-ups of this story. The dispatches were made clear this was much more than just a change of plans. They were set in motion emergency response apparatus. This would be coordinating the president's detail to immediately surge law enforcement resources into the area, blocking all roads and expediting the president's movements to a medical center, namely the University Medical Center, which was located 2 miles up the road from the president's position. Police answered the call, rapidly deploying their in-the-box emergency squads to facilitate blocking of the roads. While researching for the story, we found that the local NBC News affiliate confirmed last week, without much publicity, that the medical center was on standby after being alerted to a possible medical issue with Joe Biden in Nevada. Here is the video. But the president's team decided not to bring him to the hospital. The plans changed in rapid succession once more, as it was relayed over to on-duty officers that the president's detail would have to clear an express route to the airport. The police assigned the president's detail to an emergency in-the-box squads, redeployed to the interstate as fast as possible. And then Air Force One took off so fast that the plane shook. Several of the officers we spoke with was indeed being reported acted upon full-blown medical emergency, insisting that a simple positive COVID-19 test would not have warranted such a drastic response. Only President Biden and his inner circle seem to know the truth about what actually happened. So this has now been officially confirmed. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can see here in the footage of Joe Biden arriving, something awful has happened to him. It is made exceedingly clear as Joe Biden lacks the limberness and the capacity to even lift his legs. Joe Biden cannot get into his vehicle. He has to be shoved into his vehicle by the Secret Service. He can't even smile. It looks like he has a stroke. What it looks like. But you can see his half his face isn't working. Right? This was like at the debate. And then Joe Biden has to be physically pushed into the Secret Service vehicle by the Secret Service. Watch. It's one thing say this. It's another thing to just straight up show you. Here you go. Look. Joe Biden cannot make it into the Secret Service vehicle. Secret Service has to force him in there, lifting his immobile legs into the vehicle. Something awful has happened to Joe Biden. Huge compliments to Charlie Kirk for breaking this story. Now reporters at Red State have also confirmed with sources, additional source, not a medical person, in a position to know, tells me that Biden had stroke-like symptoms did not elaborate what they were. But the doctor traveling with Biden determined that it wasn't a full stroke. They could treat it on Air Force One en route to Andrews, the motorcade diverted to the airport. According to the source, Biden had a transient ischemic attack, is what it's what this is called. So transient ischemic attack. Let's go ahead and get the rundown on that. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Just the top line here. Transient ischemic attack, known as a mini-stroke, is a medical emergency that occurs when blood flow to the brain is temporarily blocked. The blockage causes lack of oxygen to the brain, which can result in sudden symptoms that are similar to a stroke. However, these symptoms usually fade after a short period, typically lasting less than an hour, sometimes up to 24. So, was this what they used to effectively pile on and get Joe Biden out of the presidential race? Again, Charlie Kirk is receiving a ton of emails from people in law enforcement. He has great sources in law enforcement all around the country saying, this is true. This is something that everybody heard inside of the police scanners and inside of encrypted police communications. So where the hell is the media on this? Do they know? Of course they know. Of course they know. Tucker Carlson asking, what's going on with Joe Biden? Something's wrong here. Watch.
This is from Charlie Kirk. I'm reading this cold. I got a weird lead on a story people ought to look into. I got a call from a source close to Las Vegas Metro Police. The official story was that Biden's trip was cut short last week due to COVID. However, according to this source, U.S. Secret Service informed Las Vegas Metro that there was an emergency situation involving Joe Biden and to close necessary streets so that POTUS could be transported immediately to University Medical, which they began to do in earnest. Then mysteriously, there was a stand-down order, and the Secret Service informed local Vegas PD that they were going to medevac POTUS to Johns Hopkins, which they presume meant fly him back east as soon as possible. Apparently, the rumor mill in the police department was that Joe Biden was dying or already dead, possibly. I didn't think too much about this lead. It seemed too wild to be true, but given that Joe Biden has been out of public sight for days and dropped out of the race via an X post, and his brother James indicated health was a factor, I'm beginning to grow more curious if COVID or something else has been more serious than reported. If anyone with Las Vegas Metro has information, please email freedom@charliekirk.com. I want to hear if there's more to the official story than what they're telling us.
Well, I'm sure Las Vegas Metro would be just as open as forthcoming as they were during the during the October shooting.
Yeah,
in 2017,
the worst mass shooting in American history,
which is never spoken of again.
They tried to drive me out of a camera position while I was doing a story on it. Yeah. Clearly, there's something
known for being open and forthcoming.
Yeah, like the city itself. Clearly, something is going on here. Obviously, I don't know what it is. I know its hallmark, which is secrecy. Secrecy is the hallmark of lying. So, if you want to know, is someone lying? Well, I don't know. Is he hiding something? Well, then he's lying, right? So they're lying.
Final little thing here, because I think this is so curious. Did Joe Biden actually sign this thing? Right, so you all saw the letter, right, that Joe Biden posted on X, and however much we love the fact that he posted it on X because it's such a thumb in the eye to the corporate press, right? He didn't go on NBC News to say it. He couldn't go on NBC News because Joe Biden had a stroke and can't talk. Joe Biden underlined his signature. He's never done that before. Sorry, we have like hundreds of thousands of executive orders and hundreds of thousands of images of Joe Biden's signature. That sure doesn't look like Joe Biden's signature. I'll just say it. I'll say it. I don't care what you call me. Where has Joe Biden ever underlined his signature? Nope. Something's not right here. Donald Trump on Truth Social saying, nobody believes that Joe Biden actually has COVID. And I got to tell you what, if you're looking at people who have been professionally right about these things, it's been Trump, Tucker. We do our best. And when we don't know, we platform people like Kash Patel. Upon hearing that Joe Biden had COVID, here's what Kash Patel had to say, like instantly, about this. On our program, we were live, and Kash Patel's live reaction tells you everything. Here you go. Okay. All right, we have breaking news. Joe Biden has tested positive for COVID, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden has tested positive for the virus that Dr. Fauci created. So blame Dr. Fauci. Well, there it is. That's the breaking news.
Well, it's the setup. We saw it. The Biden administration just put out before this positive test that if he were to have a medical incident, he would consider opting out of the race. They are working to take him out. COVID is step one, and then they're going to have step two.
Wow.